Not all of the Bible's great stories are about kings and battles. Some of the most profound are whispered in harvest fields, in the quiet of grief, and in the acts of loyalty that change the destiny of generations. This is the story of Ruth, a foreigner who found redemption in the land of her mother-in-law, and of how God's providence wove a tapestry of hope from the threads of loss. In the turbulent days when the judges ruled, a severe famine struck Bethlehem of Judah, the house of bread. The scarcity forced a man named Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons to seek refuge in the pagan land of Moab. There, far from home, life continued for a time. The sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. However, stability was fragile. Tragedy struck the family with unrelenting force. Elimelech died, followed years later by his 2 sons. Naomi was left alone, a widow without heirs in a foreign land, accompanied only by her 2 daughters-in-law, also widows. Emptiness and bitterness became her constant companions. When she heard that the Lord had once again blessed her land with bread, Naomi decided to return. On the dusty road back to Judah, she turned to Orpah and Ruth, urging them to return to their own families in Moab, where they might have a chance to start anew. With a heavy heart, Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and departed. But Ruth clung to Naomi, refusing to abandon her. In the face of Naomi's insistence, Ruth's reply echoed as a sacred vow, one of the most beautiful declarations of loyalty ever uttered. "Do not urge me to leave you, or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also if anything but death parts me from you." With this oath, Ruth not only sealed her destiny to Naomi, but also embraced a new faith and a new identity. The 2 widows journeyed on, arriving in Bethlehem at the very beginning of the barley harvest. Naomi's arrival caused a stir, but her pain was palpable. "Do not call me Naomi pleasant," she said. "Call me Mara, bitter, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me." To provide for them both, Ruth decided to make use of the law of gleaning, a custom that allowed the poor and foreigners to gather the leftover grain from the fields. The hand of Providence then began to move subtly. Ruth, as it happened, found herself in the field of a man named Boaz, a wealthy and influential relative of her late father-in-law. Boaz was a man of notable integrity and faith. Upon arriving in his fields, he noticed the young foreign woman working with diligence. Having already heard of Ruth's extraordinary loyalty to Naomi, he welcomed her with a protective kindness. He offered her safety, water, food, and secretly instructed his reapers to leave extra grain for her to gather. That evening, Ruth returned to Naomi with an amount of barley that exceeded all expectations. Upon learning the benefactor was Boaz, hope, long dormant in Naomi's heart, reawakened. "The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers," she revealed. The kinsman redeemer, Goel in Hebrew, was a relative with the moral and legal duty to protect a family in need, which could include redeeming land and marrying a widow to preserve the deceased's lineage. Seeing an opportunity opened by Providence, Naomi devised a bold plan. In that culture, the threshing floor, during the harvest celebration, was a place of community importance. She instructed Ruth to go there at night, and in a symbolic and humble act, ask Boaz to fulfill his role as redeemer by spreading his protection over her. With the same loyal obedience, Ruth followed the advice. In the middle of the night, she approached Boaz and made her appeal. "Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer." Boaz, moved by her honor and loyalty, promised to resolve the matter. However, there was a relative with a closer claim to redemption, and honor required that he be consulted first. The next morning, at the city gate, the open-air courtroom of the time, Boaz handled the matter with wisdom and transparency before 10 elders. He presented the case to the other relative, who waived his right of redemption when he learned it included marrying Ruth the Moabitess. With the deal sealed by the symbolic gesture of exchanging a sandal, Boaz publicly declared his intention to redeem the land and marry Ruth. From this union, blessed by the community and orchestrated by God, a son, Obed, was born. Naomi's bitterness transformed into overflowing joy. The women of Bethlehem celebrated with her, and she, who had considered herself empty, now cradled the promise of a future in her lap. The narrative, however, expands to reveal the generational scope of that act of faith. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse in turn was the father of David, the greatest king of Israel. The loyalty of a foreign woman, in a time of despair, inserted her into the royal and messianic lineage, making her an ancestor of Jesus Christ. The story of Ruth is one of the most beautiful illustrations of God's quiet sovereignty, operating not through spectacular miracles, but in the silent, daily acts of kindness, loyalty, and integrity. It is a testament to the concept of hesed, a loyal, merciful love that transcends mere obligation. In a world broken by famine and death, the faithfulness of a foreign woman and the honor of a righteous man became God's instruments to weave a story of redemption. Ruth teaches us that God welcomes the outsider, honors loyalty, and can transform the most bitter valleys of loss into springs of blessing that echo for eternity, proving that even in the darkest moments, He is silently weaving the golden threads of His redemptive plan.